I'm Bob Holliday, president of the Tallahassee Historical Society, and with me is I will introduce you this way, the notorious, some people say the incendiary Diane Roberts.
I could go up in flames any minute now.
That's right. Diane, you're one of the few speakers we've had at the Historical Society, and Diane is going to be speaking to us on February the 8th. At Mission San Luis. The reception at 5:30. The program starts at 6. You're one of our few speakers who have generated interest more in who you are than what you are proposed to say. You've got a reputation.
Well, I don't know if that's good or sad, but I'm always glad to do it because I love talking about Florida.
Yeah.
So, I mean, good God, there's enough to talk about. So,
how do you think of yourself primarily as a columnist, political columnist who also teaches Southern culture, or are you more
I have been a journalist as long as I have been an academic, maybe even longer, but I don't see a lot of difference. I mean, one bit has footnotes, one doesn't. And
journalism is history written in a hurry.
Sometimes, yes. Which is why I like to slow down, write a book, because books you can go back and fix, and columns, it's like, that one wasn't so good. Maybe I should have. But then there's another one. So I just think of myself as a writer.
Yeah.
And I write what I want to write, and I write about what obsesses and fascinates and compels me. And a lot of times those are political things, but not always.
You write for a lot of people, but locally you write for the Florida Phoenix, which is an online publication.
It is. Kind of like Politico, but just for Florida.
But I remember you said something at Gerald Ainsley's memorial service, which has stuck with me, where you said the difference between Gerald and me was that Gerald really welcomed and advocated change. And I don't like change very much.
No. Unless it proved to be for the better, and I see very little of that. Now, in human society, I like that change.
Yeah.
I like that we have become a bit more inclusive, backsliding a little, a bit more tolerant, backsliding a little, but that we, no longer make some people sit in the back of the bus. That's the kind of change I'm behind.
Yeah.
Treating people more equally, acknowledging everyone's full humanity. Yeah. That's good change. Bad change is stupid development with all the trees cut down. Florida so much of it was so beautiful, and we've done our damnedest to ruin it. There are still many, many, many beautiful places. I think we live in one.
Yeah.
I mean, Tallahassee is still beautiful despite the sprawl, despite there being subdivisions named for the trees that aren't there anymore, despite this weird persistence of chain restaurants.
Yes. I first read this book, Dream State, when it came out 20 years ago. When I moved to Tallahassee in the year 2000, right before.
Oh boy.
Yes, in October of 2000.
Oh boy, you hit it at the right time.
Right time. And the first two books I read here were Gloria Jehoda's book on the other Florida.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, mine too. I love that book.
I love that book.
I mean, I had no idea who she was. I tried to find her when she was here. I didn't find out till I was here that she'd been dead for 20 years.
Yes, she had. My mother knew her slightly. Because everybody knew everybody in Tallahassee back in the day.
And is related to everybody.
Big. She wasn't. She was more interesting. She had come with a lot of FSU professors had come down when FSU got bigger and all the universities got bigger. So, as my mother would say, she was more interesting than us.
Well, Dream State is a very, very moving book. I read it again a couple of weeks ago. It's a very, very moving book, particularly about your family, and it's about to be reprinted. Are you revising it at all?
I'm not revising the book. They didn't want me to, but I did write a new preface because some of this stuff is obviously dated. I mean, 2000 is Well, it will be 24 years ago.
I don't know how many
now.
people actually remember Elian Gonzalez.
Well, yeah, but you know, that's what books do.
Yeah.
They remind you of things that are gone. But you know, the other stuff, I think,
Your family stuff is
yeah,
wonderful.
and
It's
the
wonderful.
sort of the way, thank you, the way that we think about Florida.
Right.
I mean, I think that's all still relevant.
This whole notion of the dream state, the Florida
Yes.
kind of the imagination and so forth, has it gotten worse or has it gotten...
It's a great question. I don't know. I think the dream is different. But not for everybody. I think there are people who still have this fantasy of moving to a warm place that's always sunny, even though it isn't always warm and it isn't always sunny.
And I'll tell people that it's about, 40 degrees while we're
Yeah.
making this video.
Plus, our annual rainfall is about the same as that in England.
Yeah.
And that's held to be a rainy place. This is held to be a sunny place.
Yeah.
It just depends on how it's sort of split, doesn't it? So but I think there are people that cling to that, and that Florida, because of this idea, which I know you particularly dislike, has no history. You know, we're just this blank slate, and you can come and turn it into whatever you want to turn it into.
And that's right. I mean, particularly, and you note that even though South Florida's history technically is a lot longer than our history up here, the Spanish, and a lot of that
Sort
stuff.
of, yeah.
Sort of.
People have lived in Florida for more than 10,000
Yeah,
years.
for a very long time.
They actually have some wonderful Paleo-Indian sites.
Yeah.
My mother used to enjoy, when I'd come home from England for Christmas, she'd say, as of this moment, none of your daddy's family are in jail. My mother came from a very respectable West Florida farm family, and none of them were politicians, unless you count being on the Washington County Commission for 40 years.
Yeah.
That was almost an inherited position. That place is feudal, not futile, feudal. Wakulla County is its own thing.
Well, everybody's related. We just had a interview upstairs, and Dave Lang, the former county
Oh yes,
clerk here, and you're
yes.
bound to be kin to Dave through
Might
the Epps
be.
and the Bradfords and all that sort of stuff.
It'll be through the Bradfords, yeah. But they were distant cousins. They were thought to be the rich cousins. Yeah, well, they were the rich cousins. So, you know, but that it's all, God, nobody cares. It's if you're kin, you're kin. And all the Bradfords seem to have about 14 children each, so there are billions of them.
Well, this is going to be fun. February the 8th. Program starts at 6 o'clock out in the auditorium at Mission San Luis. And we hope all of you all will join us and bring your questions and comments for Diane. So thank you very much. We're all looking forward to it.
Me too. Thank you.